Bro! Proof! Look how many fucking retweets it has. Receipts, motherfucker. Look at that.
Yeah, boomer. Whatever you say, boomer. Okay, boomer. Whatever you say, boomer. Okay.
My face? Shut up. Also, you guys make fun of me, but like, I only have the capability of retweeting it one time, okay? You were the motherfuckers who propelled it, okay? So anything you make fun of, when you make fun of me, you are making fun of yourself. You might as well make fun of your reflection in the mirror. Do you understand?
You don't love the spirit of justice. You love your father, the devil.
Anyway,
Yeah, boomer.
like, I am one person. I'm capable of only one fucking retweet. You were the reason why it got propelled to the level it did. And it wasn't just us, obviously. It was Coomers all around, okay? It was Coomers all around. Look at the chat. Yo, F's in the chat for Coomer or Hasso, the original Hasso. Gone. Yeah, throw some Hassos in the chat for me. Throw some fucking Hassos in the chat for the old Hasso. AKA the original Coomer emote that we used to have.
Whatever you say.
Why did we delete it? I mean, look, this is why. This is an acceptable a place to use it, but like everyone was using it for literally every instance where there's, oh, yeah, hi mom. Oh, look at that. Thank you. We were just not looking at anything. Just don't worry about it, okay? I can't play the rest of this. Okay, what is this? What is this tweet? I see people.
All right, guys, so I just got home right now from picking up my little niece, and I hit a pole. I called my husband. I told him that he needs to come home, so he's on his way home right now, so wish me luck, y'all. And he's here, guys. So, you know how you said you love me? Yes, come with me.
Did you wreck your car? What is this? How does he drive a jet ski? Is this how people in Florida live? This has got to be Florida, right? He's in fucking Crocs and he's driving a jet ski. Shut it off.
All right, guys. So
What, he literally looks like a Grand Theft Auto character. Like this is Grand Theft Auto. Like he's got a parachute backpack. Is that a Bape helmet? It might be. Did you see Vigors won't be around for a month? Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure it out. Flashback to when Don wanted to steal a jet ski last night. As someone who lives in Florida, I can confirm we drive jet skis. I can't believe that. I mean, I can believe it actually. That seems very Florida. Can you afford to buy your son a PC, damn it? Oh, no, dude, in a heartbeat. Are you fucking kidding me? I tried to tell him that, like, I'm not just, like, giving you this PC. I'm giving it to you because you're my employee and, you know, you're doing content, but he, like, he doesn't want to take it. But don't pressure him or anything like that, obviously. Look, it's his choice. Dude, if you want to check out another game when you're burned out at GTRP, I suggest the game Little Nightmares 2, yeah. And also, he's Buddha's son, not my son. Well, that's what I yeah, I told him it's a like loan if he wants it to be considered that, like a loaner. What is this shadow organization behind Groundhog Day?
Imagine a world where the most powerful country on Earth in 2021 wasn't the United States, but rather Spain.
Bro, I can't tell. I don't know why fucking I feel like Johnny Harris is like an op now or something.
And instead of setting up military bases just in their own country, they also set up bases all around the world. Lots of those bases are in former colonies, but also there's a bunch in the United States. Just imagine this. You zoom into Fayetteville, North Carolina, and you see a huge military base. But it's not a US military base, it's a Spanish base on American soil, with lots of homes for the Spanish soldiers and their families, powerful weapon systems, aircraft, all run by the Spanish military. Go inside of one of these bases and it's all Spanish restaurants. Americans can't come in here unless they work for the Spanish government. And then imagine 100 more of these, all throughout the United States on American soil, and hundreds of more throughout the world. Or shift the scenario a little bit. What if it was
The American base in Ankara was the place where you could get the best pizza in all of Ankara, unfortunately.
country that wasn't our ally, a country like China? What if they had military bases, not in the US, but right up close to our border? Powerful weapon systems right off our shores in islands in the Caribbean. If you're an American, you have to imagine what that would feel like. If you're not an American, it's likely you already kind of know what this feels like.
I know literally what this is.
Has an extensive network of military bases outside of our border.
Which is why I always fucking laugh when people try to tell me about like American imperialism from the American point of view. When like everywhere around the world, we literally grew up with this shit.
Hundreds of bases. I've been fascinated for a very long time about understanding these US foreign bases abroad, but I've never actually taken the time to accurately map them. So let's do it. Let's map every single US military base around the world. It turns out that's a huge task.
This is the story of the men of the United States Army who made this project possible, and of man's never-ceasing quest for knowledge.
Bro, listen. Here, let me reduce it to a summary by pointing out like a cultural reference that you will understand. It's a protection racket, just like the mafia.
This is a full armored division. To give you an idea of size, each of those small dark squares includes more than 1,000 men.
The United States military is bigger than any of us can really fathom. It's so big that even the US military doesn't know how big the US military is. Back in 2018, 1,200 independent accountants and analysts came in to try to audit the US Department of Defense. To basically try to get like a paper trail of how big this thing is, how much money it spends, etc. And the Department of Defense didn't pass the audit. Like they literally did not have the documents or the knowledge to really piece together a full scope of what this organization is, how big it is, how much money it spends. So we don't know. Nobody knows how big the Pentagon is in all of its forms. All we do know is that objectively, it is one of the, if not the largest and most powerful organization on the planet and in the history of humanity. I mean, if you have a organization that's more powerful than the Department of Defense in the history of humans, like, let me know. I want to know about it. But as far as I can tell, there's nothing bigger and more powerful than the United States military in 2021. And much of the US military is not actually in the US, but is actually outside of our borders, all around the world.
This post is somewhere in Germany, overlooking a sector of the Iron Curtain.
One of the first things that Joe Biden and his administration did when they came into power a couple of weeks ago down the road was ask for an assessment of how big is our military presence around the whole world? What is our strategy? And what actually does this presence look like?
The department will conduct a global force posture review of U.S. military footprint, resources, and strategies.
Footprint. I like that. That's like a nice thing. Like, what's our footprint? How big is our footprint around the world? We don't really know. The Pentagon.
Ever since he did a fucking New York Times piece and then subsequently followed that up with a World Economic Forum sponsored video on like super capitalism or whatever the fuck it's called, ethical capitalism or some shit, I don't really trust him as much anymore, which kind of sucks. Because like back in the day, I used to know he was a liberal, but at least like I always thought like he was an honest liberal. You know what I mean? Rather than like one who is like getting paid for that kind of talking point.
Is gonna start to try to assess that. So let's help the Pentagon out and try to map every single United States base around the entire world. Let's do it. It wasn't too long ago when I used to think that having military bases in other countries was totally normal. Like, doesn't every country have like military bases in other countries? Yeah. Anyway, this was sort of reinforced for me when I was in college. I did an internship at NATO, with the headquarters of NATO, which was in Brussels. To get this job, I had to get a secret security clearance from the US government in order to enter the military base, which was NATO. This was really cool because there was always like people coming through NATO that I got to meet, like my diplomacy hero, Madeleine Albright, who used to be the Secretary of State, or this guy.
What?
Great honor representing my country abroad.
What the fuck? Did he just say my diplomacy hero, Madeleine Albright, who once literally brushed off the casualties as a consequence of American sanctions on Iraq, the 500,000 kids that fucking died as a consequence of sanctions, as you know, just a regular collateral damage as the cost of doing business?
For the last 37 years.
Good old Joe. Hey Joe, had no idea you'd be president someday. Anyway, the big benefit of having this secret security clearance is that I could go into any military base anywhere. And so on Saturdays, I would drive an hour from Brussels to a little village in the Belgian countryside where a military base had been sort of plopped down in the middle of the Belgian countryside, in between like stone walls and quaint streets and sheep and farming plots. Yeah, it's a little blurry in this map because it's, you know, a military base and sometimes they blur the satellite imagery. Nothing I can do about it, sorry. And as soon as I entered into the base, went through all the security and I was in the base, I felt like I had left Belgium and was suddenly entering suburban America.
Welcome to the United States.
There was a Taco Bell and movie theaters with American movies and all sorts of shops and like yoga studios and like a grocery store that had all of the products that I was very used to, all at the same prices I could get them in the United States.
If you don't live in America, but you're familiar with American brands and shit though, that's just pretty dope. I'm just saying, as like if you want a foreigner's point of view on it, it is pretty fucking tight.
Even though they had been flown across the Atlantic and brought to this place, which is a very expensive thing to do. It was a dream for me as a poor college kid living in Brussels and feeling a little bit homesick, to be honest. I hadn't really figured out culture shock at this point. So yeah, I kind of loved it. And I was, again, sort of like, doesn't everyone have military bases in other countries and they can sort of just go to their military base? And it was just, I was so naive. Alas, I've learned the truth. Luckily, I was able to talk to somebody who literally wrote the book on U.S. military bases abroad.
Most U.S. bases abroad look like not so small U.S. towns.
Over the years, David has been researching and compiling a database of all the U.S. bases around the world. The result is a very detailed audit that hasn't really ever been done to this degree. In fact, a few years ago, the Pentagon's own research arm, the RAND Corp, was doing some research on military bases abroad. And instead of using the Pentagon's list of US military bases abroad, these guys used David's list. Like, they used David, he's a professor, he's like an anthropologist, he's not like a part of DOD, and yet they're like, this list that he made is actually more authoritative than like the Pentagon's own list.
I mean, I'm sort of honored, but it's not a good sign if the Pentagon research arm is using my list and not the Pentagon's own list.
Stop. Poor college kid with a security clearance working in Brussels is normal. You get a security clearance if you're fucking working for NATO. Like, it doesn't. That's not like a. It's not as big as a flex as he made it seem like. It's not like an implication that he is a fucking CIA or some shit, like the way that you're trying to present it.
I got a hold of David's list and started wrestling with the data and finding a way to display it on a map so that I could get every single base to show somehow. After a few weeks of doing this, I finally have a map. And that map looks like this. Every dot
fucking
on this
leftists
map
don't know
is
that,
a US military base or installation of some sort in a different country. Many of these dots are not placed exactly where the base is because many of these bases are clustered in areas, and if I tried to map them all in the exact spot where they really are, they would all just sort of stack on top of each other and you wouldn't really be able to see them. But these dots represent every single base outside of the United States, from huge complexes the size of Rhode Island to small airstrips, little facilities that only house American drones or radar or supplies. This is all of them, and at least all that we know of. And if you look at this map and you see a base that you know of that is not here, or one that is there that doesn't belong there, tell me about it. I want to know, because this is sort of hard information to ascertain. The Pentagon is not very transparent, and neither are host countries about where certain bases are and why they exist.
Many of the bases around.
Guys, this is just normal stuff, okay? We need to, we need to lock it down, make sure that like everybody's doing all right.
The world are their existence is due to an agreement between the two countries that is often not open.
The grossest part about this is like Steven Crowder will literally look to that and point to that and be like, we're maintaining regional dominance and security for the rest of the world. And that's why we can't have fucking healthcare. Like, Republicans literally look to that map and say, this is why you can't have healthcare. And there is truth to that, by the way, because that is an extremely expensive endeavor. But like, considering the fact that there is one in every fucking country, who are we protecting people from? Like, ourselves? And the answer is yes. It is literally a protection racket, and you want to have a base in your country so you can be protected from the United States.
To the public, that is secret.
Any errors here are mine and not David's. All in all, the number here is about 750. 750 US military bases, big and small, outside of the United States. By outside of the United States, I'm including US territories that are not equal to the United States, like Guam, Puerto Rico, etc. But in reality, we probably don't know the real number because that data just simply is not transparently available to us. There are a couple major clusters here where the most bases exist. One major one is Germany, and the others are Japan and South Korea. These are basically holdovers from World War II and the subsequent Korean War, when the US, who won the war, came in and occupied these countries in order to set up a new government, write a new constitution, and to help the post-war transfer to a new government. But what's most interesting to me aren't these clusters that came about because of World War II, but instead the far-flung, sort of unexpected or little-known places that the US military has a little footprint. Like all the dots in Africa, which have popped up in recent years as the US has expanded its presence there. These are usually small installations that hold maybe a few soldiers or mainly private citizens who are government contractors. And they mainly house things like drones or radar or weapon systems. You also have this cluster of dots deep in the Indian Ocean, which is the island of Diego Garcia, which I've talked about at length, about the US military's role in displacing hundreds of local people to set up a base there. Some of these dots are just airstrips, a runway in the middle of nowhere. And these runways usually belong to the host country, and the US just rents them for a period of time. Like this facility in the middle of the desert in Oman. Places like this exist to hold supplies in case a war breaks out. So the US maintains these stockpiles of war supplies all around the globe so that they can strike at any point without having to ramp up a war economy at home. It takes away a lot of the friction from going to war.
They've made it easier for the US military to launch offensive wars. The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan were easier to launch because the US has maintained a huge infrastructure of bases.
Some of these dots don't represent a place where US soldiers are actually stationed, but instead it represents where money from the Pentagon has gone to influence or build up infrastructure. For example, in Iceland, the US is spending a lot of money, tens of millions of dollars, to upgrade this airport, the airport that we all go through when we're going to Iceland, but doing it for military purposes so that the US can use it, can land there if needed. So next time you land in Iceland on your way to the Blue Lagoon, just know that you're passing by one of these little dots.
Boys, we can't have infrastructure in our own country because we're too busy building Icelandic fucking infrastructure, okay? We will need it one day. Sorry, no healthcare for you, American. Your government is too busy building my highways and infrastructure. Oh, I'm sorry. You say America first, well, I say Iceland first.
Over here in the Azores, these islands that are owned by Portugal, nearly 2,000 kilometers away from any landmass, there is a group of US military installations mainly used for refueling and weapon storage. Head up here to Greenland and you'll see a little base way up high, the most northern base in the world where 140 Americans live. Kind of looks interesting. I'd love to go there someday. Way out here in the Pacific, you've got loads of remote military bases owned.
Uh-oh. The Turks are coming. The Turks are coming. What's going on, Turks? Şu anda Amerika'nın askeri base'lerine bakıyoruz dünyada her yerde. Türkiye'yi de gösterecek belki. Biliyorsunuzdur zaten. Ben şimdi İngilizce konuşmaya devam ediyorum arkadaşlar.
By the United States. They're mainly small airstrips, like this base on the southern tip of this huge atoll of the Marshall Islands. All right, listen, I'm not going to explain every single base. There are 750, maybe 800. There's a bunch of bases. I just wanted to give you a flavor of what some of these look like. They're diverse. They're all over the place. And they're fascinating to me. I have been compiling accounts of people who live next to US military bases. I have over 100 accounts from people that, from my call on Instagram. I want more.
Türk olduğunu biliyorum. Konuş.
I want to make an entire video about life next to a base. And that is why I'm calling upon all of you. I'm going to put a link in my description.
Oh shit.
To, like a
I fucking live near a base, dude. I can talk to Johnny Harris about it. Like I said, in Ankara. I think it was it İncirlik? Anne! Anne! Ankara'daki base neydi? İncirlik miydi? Yok, İncirlik Adana neresiydi? Adana o. Adana. Hayır, Adana değil arkadaşlar. Ankara'daki neydi ya? Ankara'da base mi vardı AK? Evet, tabii ki de var Ankara'da base. İncilik Adana değil. İncilik değil. Neydi lan adı? Malatya Akıntı. No. Adana değil arkadaşlar. Ankara'daki base neydi? Ankara'da bir tane base var. Yok demeyin lan. Var amına koyayım. Soruyor. Hayır. Türklere soruyorum. Ha, Gölbaşı'ydı galiba değil mi? Gölbaşı'ndaydı. Etimeskut Airbase Gölbaşı. I don't know. Etimeskut. Maybe. I don't remember. Anyway, I'm trying to figure out what the name of the air base was in Ankara that I went to, where I. No, we did go into the base. No. Yeah, where the good pizza was, and also where we played basketball. İncilik üssü. İncilik değil. İncilik Adana'da. Mürdet hava üssü. I don't know. Why do you sound so Turkish? Why do you sound so angry when you speak in Turkish? Mürted hava üssü. I don't. Mürted? No. This is old, by the way. Türkler eski. Ben yani kaç bin... Ne zaman anne? 2002 falan herhalde değil mi? 2002-2003. Sadece Adana ve İzmir'de de var. Abicim, Amerikan base'i vardı Ankara'da. %100. Wait, maybe I'm like leaking some fucking documents that are not supposed to be known or something. Because the Turks in the chat are literally... Bizden iyi mi bileceksin? Ulan amına koyayım. Tabii ki de senden iyi bileceğim. Mal mısın? Orada yaşadım lan. Yaşadığım kendi şeyimi anlatıyorum sana Ankara'da. Herif bak, bizden iyi mi bileceksin diyor herif ya. Evet. Demek ki senden iyi biliyorum. Güvercinlik miydi? See, Americans, Turks do the same shit that you do as well. There's Turks in the chat right now that are telling me that my experiences from my personal life are wrong. Like, some guys literally in the chat going, what are you gonna know better than me? I'm like, yeah, I am clearly. Yarrağa bak, Amerikan dölü. Oğlum var ya. Bu lafını var ya, ağzına bir geri sokarım, kendine gelemezsin. 6 ay. La bebe. Akıllı ol la bebe. Aklını alırım ha. Burada biz böyle İngilizce konuşuyoruz diye zannediyorsun ki gavur olduk. Nota üssü Elma Dağı abi Airbase. Maybe. Okay, I don't remember. Ankara bebesiyiz. All right, I'm gonna keep going.
It's like a form of like what it's like to live next to a U.S. military base. I have it right here, and I'm gonna be checking it. You can fill out this form, and then I will get your response.
Jardine, thank you for the raid, by the way.
And I will use that to construct an understanding of what life is like next to a U.S. military base. I talked to David a bunch about this too. He's done a bunch of research, done a bunch of interviews, and I want to keep talking about this. So, if you don't live next to a military base, I want to hear from you, like, what are your thoughts about this? Whether you're an American or not an American, like, does this seem right? Does this seem like the right choice, the right thing for our taxpayer money to be going towards? I'm still making up my mind on a lot of this stuff, and I want to start a discussion. My goal in this video was to just map it, was to just look at it, be able to see it on a map. And I've finally done that. By the way, there will be a high-res version of this map on my Patreon for patrons who sign up for the map.
Motherfucker's like, hey, you want some government secrets? Sign up for my Patreon.
Tier, that will be there. So I will be in the comments more than normal for this video, and I want to hear from you. Before you go, I want to say thank you to the people who gave me a lot of footage for this piece. I didn't go out into the desert and the ocean to film for this video. I got a lot of it from Storyblocks, who's the sponsor of today's video.
Anyway. I haven't figured out where the base was. But we'll figure it out. I'll let you know. Okay, there's one more video that I'm gonna watch before I finish. Because I want to eat my food and finish it first. Balgat, Balgat. Artık yokmuş, çok eskiymiş. Balgat. Yes, that's the one. That's what my mom just said, yeah. So the base that I went to when I was younger, this is like post 9/11 world, obviously. I mean, there was definitely a fucking military base there. It doesn't exist anymore. That military base no longer exists, which is why half the fucking Turks in the chat are like, dude, what are you talking about? That doesn't exist. Johnny should ask the people of Okinawa how they feel about the U.S. military base. Oh yeah, let's hear that. Hey, yeah, remember when the Marine base in Japan fucking was the primary cluster for COVID spreading, among other plenty of problems within the Japanese military bases. New ape content? The divisive nature of COVID policies? Oh, fuck yeah. Who's he talking to?
Because with COVID, there was a sense...
Oh my god, isn't this that fucking psycho? The fucking Ayan Hirsi Ali. Yeah, this chick is fucking insane, dude. Wait, no? Am I crazy? Wait, hold on. She's like the super reactionary anti-Muslim lady, isn't she? Yeah, and now, and now she fucking like makes a living off of talking about how like, okay, it's the right person. Okay, got it. No, it is the right person. So she got female circumcision, and obviously talked about how horrific that is. But now she makes her living off of just straight up, literally fucking just talking about how she's the Candace Owens for Islam. That's it. Okay, she literally the Candace Owens of Muslims. All right, straight up. Which is funny because you are about to find out how fucking r/atheism Turks are. Just wait. If all of my American watchers and my international audience think that they're being like edgy atheists, just wait. Turks on the internet are the most edgy fucking atheists, or act like they literally sleep with a copy of Quran and nothing in between, okay? Like they're either the edgiest, like the worst atheists, like literally, or they are, you know, they lie and tell you that, you know, everything is haram and they don't touch anything and whatever. But most of the fucking really religious Turks are not going to be in my audience anyway. So you're gonna see a lot of fucking insanely anti-Muslim and Islamophobic Turks in the chat right now. Ateşli kadınları göster. That's kind of a racist take, not gonna lie. Are you saying that I'm being racist against Turkish people? Is that what you just told me just now? There is nothing more American than an American person, like an American person telling someone who is making a humorous explainer about their own culture that they are being fucking racist. These Americans are so used to fucking colonizing that they literally have colonized social justice, okay? Like, they're so used to colonizing that literally, like, motherfuckers at Yale are literally crafting new ways in which they can tell, like, marginalized communities, minorities, people from different ethnic backgrounds, how they should behave and what the best standard operating procedure is.
There's this big bad thing from the outside, this virus that's coming to get all of us. We didn't know a lot about the virus, but the more we find out, the more we adapt, the more you would think that some of these intrusions into our privacy, into our liberty, that would, it would stop, and we would be able to be free. And in some countries, and even in some states here, people are still insisting that the government has those powers. The government still has control over. My husband is from the UK, and I just asked, who has been to see your mother? We call her Granny. Who has been to see Granny? Daughter and boyfriend, but they were sitting outside. Why can't they sit inside? And he says, well, the rules haven't changed yet. But there's something in me that asks myself, who's enforcing those rules?
Yeah. And why, in the age of testing, are those rules applicable? Why, when you can find out if...
Bro, you know he's trying real fucking hard. He's trying so fucking hard to like have reactionary people come to his broadcast and platform them, that he literally had Ayaan Hirsi Ali come on, who is not even remotely entertaining and can't even fucking talk.
If someone's negative for the virus, why can you keep them from them?
Well, so why initially, I think we were all in agreement, it was to curtail the virus. But why the rules are still in place when the threat is gone, that's a very good question.
Well, why wouldn't we understand what the virus is now? The rules were put in place when we thought it was the Black Plague. I mean, we thought it was going to be like the Spanish flu and kill a vast majority, or a large percentage rather, of the population. It's not the same thing. It's still terrible for the people that get it and die, and the people that have poor health, and the people that have underlying conditions and comorbidities, but it's not what we thought it was going to be. But we're still treating it like we treated it a year ago. We're looking at it the same way we looked at it in March of last year.
I think what bothers me, you're absolutely right, but what bothers me now is that it's not even possible to have a debate about that.
Right.
And that's, so anytime people say you should be suspicious of government, don't give government any powers, because once they have that power, they won't give it back.
Yes.
I think those people are being vindicated in the sense that, and I would say in the past, no, of course not. If there's no need for government to
Dude, it's so sick when COVID ended and yet the shutdowns remained. It was so wild. It's so crazy that happened already. Like, motherfucker, you live in Texas, brother. What are you talking about? Your state is not over the COVID hump, despite the fact that your governor earlier today announced that there will be no mask mandates going forward. And as a matter of fact, took it one step further, if I'm not mistaken, and made sure that certain provinces or certain localities cannot implement their own mask mandates if they want to, unless you reach over a certain percentage of new COVID cases. So, like, really fucking really tight stuff going on in Texas, and it's because of morons like Joe Rogan.
Have that power, they'll give it back. But now this government wants to just skip the power, even though the threat is gone.
It's just human nature.
Yeah.
You know, there's a tremendous drop in cases in Los Angeles, and yet you still can't go to the gym. You have to eat outside, and they just opened up eating outside 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
you know,
we never understood that.
It
because
doesn't
it doesn't
make sense.
spread outside.
Well, it doesn't make sense. For a fact, I know that they did it for optics.
Yeah, no, it doesn't spread outside, famously. I'm glad that two fucking brilliant scientists, epidemiologists, are talking about how COVID doesn't spread outside. Listen, the difference is these fucking dinguses think that they're smarter than Donald Trump, okay? This is such a fucking brain dead take that it's literally what you would hear from Donald Trump and make fun of for a while. As a matter of fact, Joe Rogan probably made fun of Trump for saying moronic things like this. And it's great.
Because I know someone who works with the government who literally had this conversation with some.
And this is the Alex Jones take. I got the documents. I got my contacts inside.
Someone saying, why are we doing this when there's no evidence whatsoever that it spreads outside? And they said, it's for optics. So they're closing businesses down and they're denying
optics.
people a living for optics. But what they're doing is they're using power.
It's very suspicious that when Los Angeles closed down outdoor businesses because outdoor gatherings were still causing some spread. Suspiciously, in the aftermath of the massive peak during holiday season, those shutdown measures also came along with a diminishing new COVID case rate that Joe Rogan personally just mentioned. But that probably happened because, you know, Allah willed it or something, right? Like, I don't know how the fuck that happened. Who knows? Who knows how the Los Angeles COVID cases have been on the decline, which Joe Rogan literally just mentioned.
They have power. And these are just individuals, they're human beings, and they're subject to human nature. It's human nature to exercise power. You see that with bosses over employees. You see that in the Stanford prison experiments. You see it's just things that people do. You give people power over people, and they use it.
But in this case, when you say optics, what will they use that power for then? Because
Well, the optics
they
is
will be
that they're
voted
doing
out
something.
of power if they carry on like this.
I don't know if they will. I don't know if they will because there's so many people.
Dude, this conversation is so stupid. This is literally just a conversation between two fucking idiots who think they're smart. I don't know how else to describe this. What we are watching is two fucking absolute morons having a conversation, thinking that they're actually brilliant. It is so weird watching this, and millions of people watch this shit. Well, it just dropped. Like, what are you guys doing when you think when you like lower your tone of voice and talk slowly that like automatically the things that you're saying are going to sound clear and cohesive analysis in regards to the problems at hand?
That are so...
No. They're just going to keep getting elected, actually, as a matter of fact. It really does not matter because there's going to be more Democrats than there are Republicans in California. And therefore, Democrats are going to be able to continue exercising their power for no reason other than the fact that they just want to do it for optics.
Their cursory understanding of human nature and their lack of real inquisition, the lack of real questioning of the government's motives, and also this terrible fear of the virus, the terrible fear of what it actually is. If you go to Los Angeles today, and when I talk to my friends, they have a totally different idea of what the virus is than if you're here in Texas.
Dude, that's not a good thing, okay? Like, the people I've surrounded myself with are kind of fucking dumb about a pandemic, including one of the fucking more famous instances being Dave Chappelle, okay? Getting COVID very publicly and even giving it to a fucking bartender. Those guys don't believe COVID is real. So, you know, it must be a matter of culture. It's like, why are you pointing to Texas's situation where El Paso was literally a fucking war zone not that long ago, as though it is, a successful example to follow?
It's one of the things that I noticed immediately once I came here. It's
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I moved here. People, like, they treat it like it's a bad cold.
Yeah.
Which is what it is.
Yeah.
It kills people, but so does the flu. But we never closed down schools for the flu. The flu actually kills kids. This kills very few children. A tiny percentage. My kids both.
Yeah. Schools are famously owned, operated, and cleaned and nursed by children. It's always, this is a fun fact for those of you who don't know. If you go to the state of Texas, schools are very different. It's like the teachers are also children, and the children do not have any other family members. So in the state of Texas, when a child gets COVID, he can't spread it to other parents because there are no parents. They're all children. So it's like a child-to-child spread, just like the teacher is also a child, just like the janitor is also a child, like, you know, the principal's also a child. Because schools famously don't have adults working in them, is what I'm trying to say. And those adults also don't have adult family members that they live with. And that's precisely why they would never be considered a cluster or anything like that.
Got it. And it was nothing. It was like a headache. was gone in a day. This is what we're seeing with human nature. When people have the ability to tell people you can't work, that's very dangerous. Or to tell someone your business is not essential, but Target is. Well, maybe you have a small store that sells goods. Well, you can't open. But this big store, this big chain, why? But well, they.
Wait, that's not even fucking true. It's literally not true. If you're a grocery store, it doesn't matter if you're a small grocery store or a big one. It's literally a false statement. You absolutely can keep your fucking grocery store open. It's still an essential business. No, you can make that faulty comparison between restaurants and grocery stores, in which case it's a faulty comparison, but you can make that. There are reasons for why grocery stores have to remain open when restaurants, or at least indoor dining, can't. But this notion that like there is some kind of qualification for grocery stores, but only big ones and not small ones, is so dumb. The reason why he can probably get away with lying like this, though, is because there aren't that many fucking small grocery stores left. It's all retailers, gigantic franchises at this point.
They're part of special interest groups. They contribute to the politicians. You know, there's unions that are involved. Like that woman that we were talking about before the show, who had a restaurant in Los Angeles, and she had outside dining that she paid thousands of dollars that she probably didn't even have to set this up so she can keep her business afloat. And then they told her you have to close down outdoor dining. And across the parking lot, the television and movie studios were allowed to have outdoor dining.
Yeah.
Like literally she could walk 10 steps and she could be in their outdoor dining, and her business is being forced to shut down. It doesn't.
What really frustrates me about this is a real story, okay? This was a story that went viral, and I watched it. I talked about it as well. What frustrates me about this fucking dumbass story is that that does suck, okay? That does suck. I don't want small restaurant owners to be devastated, especially when they close down outdoor dining. So there is a genuine problem there. But the real problem, or the real solution rather, to that problem isn't open everything, because like that's what we should be doing. If you have to close restaurants, then you have to help them, okay? And the problem is we don't. The government has no infrastructure to deliver people money quickly and expediently. The government has no interest in giving people money because, they're not massive corporations, right? And that's the real issue. Also, it's still not a one-to-one perfect comparison because movie studios get special privileges because they are testing everyone round the clock, whereas you have no fucking idea who your employees are. They are not getting tested. Or not your employees, sorry. The people that are coming into your restaurant are.
Doesn't make any sense because it doesn't have to. Because it's
yes, sets are closed to the public. Why did that other business stay up? What do you mean?
Optics. They're just giving the optics that they're doing something. The cases rise because here's the thing about lockdowns that have been pretty clearly established. One of the things that's, first of all, they don't work. They don't really curtail the virus. But what they do is they force people inside. When you force people inside and you force people to congregate, it spreads easier.
Absolutely.
It spreads, and that's part of the problem. It
spreads easier.
What? Dude, oh, come on, bro, really? Like, outdoor restaurants closing leads to indoor restaurants opening magically? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? There's no fucking way. Dude, come on. There's better counterpoints than this. He's like not even trying. The reason why studios are, by the way, able to have outdoor dining spaces while they're on set is because the set is closed off and every single member gets tested regularly. I think either twice a week or once every 2 weeks. That's the reason why studios are able to do that. And even then, there's still issues and people still get tested and are positive for COVID. To take that lockdowns lead to more people staying indoors is probably this. I can't believe it. Like in 6 minutes, Joe Rogan outdid himself. It is literally the worst take. It's the dumbest one I've ever heard from him. It's so weird that like COVID has turned him into a Karen, and then two, this like delusional conspiracy lord now.
Inside than it does
Yes,
outside.
it doesn't. There's no evidence, no real evidence that it does spread outside.
Yeah.
But it does spread inside, and so you force people inside. You tell people they can't work, and they're all congregated together.
Inside.
Like, what is he talking about? Is he talking about like a multi-family home or something? Like who? Where are people getting forced to be inside, but with like people outside of their bubble? What is he saying? I'm so weirded out by what he's trying to. I'm so weirded out by what he's trying to say. Like when they shut down in the argument that he's making, it's like you can shut down outdoor dining, but indoor dining and indoor establishments are still open or something. Like what? I think he means that if you don't give people an opportunity to hang outside, they will break the bubble and hang out indoors, which is arguably more dangerous. Okay, but that's like saying, okay, well, people will then go hang out outside and break the rules and hang out outside. Limiting random traffic among strangers is the goal. That is precisely why you shut down dining. Okay, you shut down establishments where you congregate at with other random people. That is how you limit the spread. If you are in your own bubble, okay, and you have another person who is in their own bubble, and those people get together, but they've taken the appropriate precautionary measures, then yes, you are increasing your risk, but it's still less risky than literally fucking the bubble theory is a myth. Yeah, I'm just using it as a fucking a proper term, like a contextual for you to contextually understand what I mean. I'm not saying that like this is perfect or whatever. I mean bubble isn't like me and my mom are in a fucking bubble technically because we are for the most part only interacting with one another. Okay, it doesn't mean anything. I just mean like social circle. Okay. Also, the bubble literally works. I mean, yeah, it definitely worked with the NBA at least. You're giving him too much credit. He's saying now you're stuck inside in your home and that's where most spread happens like an idiot.
Yes, inside. And they're more fearful. They're not getting vitamin D. They're not getting sun. They're not getting exercise.
You have more domestic violence.
Yes. And more mental health issues and more suicide. And all that stuff's through the roof. And more drug addictions and more drug overdoses. And all those problems that they don't get calculated in the risk assessment when you're talking about the risk of the virus. There's a lot of other risks. There's a lot of other problems.
Yeah.
And the government doesn't give a shit about that. They keep getting paid no matter what. When they close down these businesses, I think the government, I think the state, I think the governor, and I think the mayor, they should be paid proportionately with the amount of money that's generated by the businesses, particularly the businesses that are forced to close. You see how fucking quick everything opens up. It would open up like that.
Yeah.
See how quick everything opens up if you give people the freedom to go places. You don't have to go to these...
Wait, even that's false, by the way. That's literally fucking false. No, that's not how that works at all. People are still understandably afraid. Wait, what did I miss the point? Was he talking about taxes or something? Wait, what the fuck was he saying? I think I misunderstood what he was saying. I thought like when you open places up, like watch how it...
There's a lot of other problems.
Yeah.
And the government doesn't give a shit about that. They keep getting paid no matter what. When they close down these businesses, I think the government, I think the state, I think the governor, and I think the mayor, they should be paid proportionately with the amount of money that's generated by the businesses, particularly the businesses that are forced to close.
What? Dude, who the fuck is this guy hanging out with, dude? how can he come up with an idea so dumb? It is baffling, dude. How do you support Bernie Sanders at one point and then fucking turn around and have this is like crackhead levels of bad ideas, okay? Like, it is literally the dumbest thing I've ever fucking... Oh, it's probably Elon Musk. I'm wondering, like, who the fuck is influencing Joe Rogan to have, like, such psychopathic, like, ANCAP theories that... Because they have to be overlooking the negative side effects of that, right? Like, if you were to incentivize mayors by, like, generating profit, you really fucking think that would be beneficial to the people that are working there? No, you're supposed to be a public servant and only serve the interests of the public. What the fuck are you talking about? If you become a corporate CEO, then, you know, that mayor will become literally everything you despise about mega corporations. That's how you get fucking slavery, okay? Yeah, make the mayoral salary tied to the profit margins, dude. Literally preaching tanky Russian oligarchy politics. How is this the same guy that shit on Dave Rubin for... How is the same guy that shit on Dave Rubin for his idiotic, like, libertarian takes? I've seen few libertarians be like Bernie or being anti-establishment, especially if they care more about, what? Social or foreign policy?
You see how fucking quick everything opens up. It would open up like that.
Yeah.
See how quick everything opens up if you give people the freedom to go places. You don't have to go to these restaurants if you're worried about catching COVID. You don't have to go to the gym if you're worried about catching it. You can stay home. You can social distance. You can wear masks. You can exercise in the park, out in nature, but you can't because the park's shut because they're worried about COVID. Like these are some of the rules that the people have had to deal with over this past year. Nonsensical rules, like you can't go to the park. You can't go to the beach. Like, it's nonsense.
Bro, have you seen the fucking beaches? Like, I know why. First of all, here's what happened. Okay, here's what public officials are supposed to do. They are supposed to keep the parks open at first, and they're supposed to keep the beaches open at first, and they did. And guess what fucking happened when you kept the parks open and the beaches open? People were like this at fucking beaches, dog. That's precisely why. And this happened a year ago, by the way. I don't know why we're still having this conversation, unless, like, the DMT fucking eroded his prefrontal cortex to a degree where, like, he is no more... he no longer understands what time is like. Okay, it's just melted completely, and he doesn't get time. He thinks we're still in, like, the first day of COVID or something. The Joe Rogan experience. It is wild to me that he has this take. Local governments keep certain things open. They want to encourage people being healthy. They want to encourage people going outside and being outdoors. They did this in Los Angeles. Guess what fucking happened? No one knew how to deal with the open spaces, and this is what they did when they were outdoors. So they closed them. They slowly opened them when the number of new COVID cases decreases.
Everybody knows it's nonsense, and it's not science-based. When they say follow the science, well, you're not following the science. Because if you did follow the science, you'd let people do anything they wanted outside.
How the fuck did he go? I thought, like, Spotify would keep him on a leash or something, and instead of, like, his content changing for the better, it literally got way worse. Why are you guys throwing up question marks? I really thought, like, signing off on a gigantic fucking $100 million deal was, oh, because of what he said. Okay. Oh, I thought you guys were throwing up question marks for me. I really thought that, like, Spotify and the $100 million contract he got was going to, I don't know, maybe stop him from non-stop spreading COVID denial and COVID conspiracy theories. And it has been worse somehow. He moved to Texas, and his takes have gotten... Like, they've gone into overdrive. Like, I can't even fucking watch any of his videos anymore. You wanted censorship, Keck W? No, I just want someone whose content I fucking enjoy to not be a literal mouthpiece for the dumbest fucking ideas possible. This is no longer even entertaining. He's like having straight up propagandists like Ayaan Hirsi Ali. And the only reason why you want to act like it's fucking fun is because you assume somewhere along the line a liberal is being triggered. So it must be good content for me. You understand? Like, I literally